Let's take a look at how to make compound shape groups. We're going to head into Gravit and go ahead to get started. Sorry, Gravit, we're not going to download. Let's X out of that. Let's open from our computer the file you should have downloaded from Schoology, or hopefully you did download, that is the compound shape group worksheet. On this worksheet, we're going to see examples of compound shapes. So we have the original here, a union, which we looked at last time, subtract, intersect, and difference. We're going to use these spaces to recreate all of these above and see how we can make them. Let's go ahead and lock our worksheet into place so we don't accidentally slide it around. I think a good place to start is to make these two shapes. So we're going to go up to our shape tool and start by making a rectangle. We'll hold down Shift to make that rectangle a square. Let's look at filling in this square the same color that the other squares are. Why not? We'll go over to Fills, select this little gray circle because that's the color that it is now. And I have the option to use this little eyedropper tool. I can drag this around my canvas and select anywhere where there's this blue color. And now my square is the same color blue as the square above it. Let's make a circle and do the same thing. I'll choose the ellipse tool, hold down Shift, come over to Fills, choose the eyedropper, and green. Excellent. The original is just these two shapes on top of each other. They're not grouped together. They're two separate shapes. Let's take a bounding box to select both of these shapes and copy them in the space above union. If I put a bounding box around the square and the circle and head up to compound shapes, I can choose union. This combines the square and the circle. If I move them around, they're going to move together. If I make them larger, they're going to become larger together. If I rotate them, they're going to be rotated together. They are a combined group now. I can even change the color of them. Let's look at the same tool now, except we're going to look at subtract. So I'm going to put a bounding box around the original and go ahead and copy it above subtract. Now I'm going to go to the create compound shapes and choose subtract instead. What it has done is subtracted the lower shape, the circle. It took away the circle area and I'm left with this new shape. Look, as I hover over it, you can still see where the circle used to be. This is a great way to create complex shapes that you might not otherwise know how to create. Let's take a look at intersect. It's the opposite, or sort of like the opposite of subtract. It's another option. So we're going to put a bounding box around the original, copy it above intersect. Now let's go up to compound shapes, intersect. It's going to create a shape with the overlapping areas of the two complex shapes, or the two shapes rather. This is the shape where these two shapes overlapped. Again, a great way to create interesting complex shapes that you might not otherwise know how to create. All right, last one is difference. Let's put a bounding box around the square and the circle. We'll copy it over difference. Come up here to compound shapes and hit difference. This is going to create a shape where the parts of the selected elements do not overlap. So it has created a shape everywhere where these do not overlap. And the overlapped area is blank. You could almost fill it in with the shape that we created for difference. See that? I know it might seem a little bit confusing at first, but this is a great tool to keep in your back pocket for when you're designing and using shapes and you want to create complex shapes that you're otherwise not sure how to create. We'll also look at some ways that we can apply these skills. Save check.